When I fainted at work, the doctors called my parents. They never showed. Instead, my sister posted a picture. Family day without the drama. I stayed silent. A few days later, still lying in a hospital bed, I saw 65 missed calls and a message from Dad. We need you. Call back now. That's when I made my choice. It started on a Tuesday. Ordinary, unremarkable, just another day in the grind. I was in a conference room at Horizon Media Group, pitching to the North Star execs, a huge sports apparel client. My slides were perfect, my suit was sharp, and I was ready to nail it. This was my shot at a director-level promotion, the kind of thing I'd been killing myself for. But halfway through, the room started spinning. Pain sliced through my skull like a hot knife, and the next thing I knew, I was on the floor. Voices fading, darkness closing in. I woke up in a hospital bed at Northwestern Memorial, alone with machines beeping around me. My head throbbed, my mouth felt like sandpaper, and the nurse told me I'd collapsed from severe dehydration and exhaustion. But the doctor's face said it was more than that. They were running tests, they said. Serious ones. They'd called my emergency contacts. My parents. They said they'd come, the doctor told me, his voice trailing off. Spoiler alert, they didn't. Not a call, not a text, nothing. If you've ever waited for someone who never showed up, you know that gut punch feeling. Comment below where you're watching from and let me know if you've ever felt that kind of abandonment. Because that moment, lying in that sterile hospital room, it forced me to face a truth I'd been dodging my whole life. My family didn't see me. Not really. Growing up in our picture-perfect suburban home outside Boston, we were the family you'd see on a Christmas card. Colonial house, white picket fence, family dinners at 6 sharp. My dad, Frank, was an architect, always in tailored suits, always serious. My mom, Diane, was a third-grade teacher, loved by everyone for her warmth. My sister, Vanessa, 3 years older, was the golden child, 4.0 GPA, student body president, Princeton bound. We looked like we had it all. Cape Cod vacations, matching sweaters, the works. But behind the smiles, I was the forgotten one, always in Vanessa's shadow. Look at your sister's science fair project, Dad would say, barely glancing at mine. First place again. Why can't you apply yourself like her? I wasn't a slacker. I had a 3.8 GPA, ran debate club, volunteered at the animal shelter. But next to Vanessa's perfection, I was invisible. Kay just needs to try harder, Mom would tell my teachers right in front of me, like I wasn't even there. My A-minuses were never A-pluses. My second place art award, overshadowed by Vanessa's first place win 3 years earlier. My 16th birthday, they drove 6 hours to help Vanessa with her sorority formal, leaving me with a store-bought cake and a note promising a celebration that never happened. By the time I graduated high school, I'd stopped expecting them to show up for me. They came to the ceremony, sure, cameras flashing, but the dinner afterward was all about Vanessa's engagement to Travis, a med student from a rich family. My acceptance to Northwestern? A footnote. Chicago's so far, Mom said, frowning. Vanessa stayed closer to home. Dad just nodded. Good school, but not quite Princeton. I chose Northwestern for that distance. Chicago was my escape, my chance to be Kay, not Vanessa's sister. In Chicago, I built a life I was proud of. My Wicker Park apartment was small, but mine, filled with local art and furniture I'd picked out myself. I had friends, Olivia from work, my pottery class crew, who liked me for me. My job at Horizon was intense but rewarding. I led multi-million-dollar campaigns, earned promotions, got praise from my boss, Richard, who called me the resident workaholic with a laugh. It stung, but I leaned into it. Work became my identity, proof I was enough, even if my family never saw it. Meanwhile, Vanessa settled 20 minutes from our parents, popping out 2 perfect kids with blonde curls, hosting dinner parties in her colonial house that mirrored Mom's. Every phone call home was the same. Your sister's family is so beautiful, Mom would sigh. When are you settling down, Kay? Never mind my career, my friends, my life. To them, I was failing because I wasn't married, wasn't close to home, wasn't Vanessa. The last Thanksgiving I went home, 2 years ago, was the final straw. They turned my childhood bedroom into a playroom for Vanessa's kids without telling me. I slept on a basement pullout while her family took the guest rooms. We thought you wouldn't mind, Mom said when I looked hurt. You're never here anyway. At dinner, Vanessa talked nonstop about her kids and Travis's promotion. I tried to share my own promotion to senior strategist. Crickets. Dad checked his watch. Mom asked if anyone wanted more turkey. I left early, claiming a work emergency. No one questioned it. No one called to check if I'd made it back to Chicago. 3 weeks later, Vanessa tagged me in a family photo taken the day after I left. Family complete, the caption read, like I was better off gone. That's when it hit me. I'd never be their priority. I could exhaust myself chasing their love, but it was a losing game. So I stopped. Calls dwindled to holidays, texts to bare minimum. I told myself I was fine, that plenty of people live with distant families. But that ache, watching friends hug their parents at airports, hearing colleagues talk about family game nights, it never quite went away. Back to that hospital bed. The headaches had started 6 months earlier, small at first, then brutal. Fatigue, dizziness, insomnia crept in. I blamed stress, ignored it, kept working. The North Star campaign was my big break, and I wasn't slowing down. The morning of the presentation, the pain was unbearable, but I doubled my meds, threw on my power suit, and pushed through. Bad call. When I collapsed, it wasn't just exhaustion. The doctors suspected something worse. A mass, they said, scheduling an MRI. Olivia, my work friend of 3 months, was the only one who showed up. She rode in the ambulance, brought me pajamas, a charger, even the book from my nightstand. You scared the hell out of us, she said, sitting by my bed. Meanwhile, my parents, silent. The hospital called them multiple times. They're making arrangements, the doctor said. But I knew better. Boston's a 2-hour flight. If they cared, they'd be here. The MRI was terrifying, claustrophobic, loud, my mind racing with what-ifs. Tumor, cancer, death. I was 29 facing this alone because my family was where? The answer came that night when I caved and checked social media. Vanessa had tagged me in a post, my family at Six Flags, wearing matching Davis Family Fun Day shirts, grinning like they didn't have a care in the world. The caption, Family Day without the drama, sometimes smaller is better. Taken 2 days after I collapsed. My aunt commented, perfect family outing. They were celebrating my absence while I waited to hear if I had a brain tumor. I shut my phone off, tears burning, but I wouldn't let them fall. Not for them. The next day, the doctors confirmed it. A meningioma, a tumor in my right frontal lobe. Likely benign, but it needed surgery. Soon. Brain surgery. The words didn't feel real. Neither did the realization that I'd face it without family. Dr. Chen asked if there was anyone to call. I shook my head. No one who needs to know. Jennifer, my night nurse, became my lifeline. She was chatty, warm, told me about her cats and true crime podcasts. When I asked if many patients go through stuff like this alone, she nodded. More than you'd think. Family's complicated, but we've got your back. Her words stuck with me, so did the list she gave me, other patients, alone like me, who'd welcome a visitor. I met Martin, who'd had the same surgery, Sophia, battling lymphoma, Darius, fighting leukemia after being disowned. Their stories wrapped around me like armor. I wasn't alone. Not really. The night before surgery, I was calm, resigned maybe. Olivia brought movies, chess, and her signature sarcasm. When the hospital asked for my next of kin, she didn't hesitate. Put me, she said, taking the clipboard. I'm her emergency contact now. Jennifer coordinated with her, and I realized these women, near strangers, were showing up in ways my family never had. Surgery day was a blur, counting backward from 10, then nothing. Waking up was worse, pain, confusion, a fog that wouldn't lift. But Olivia was there, smiling. Tumor's gone. You're gonna be fine, Jennifer stopped by. Martin sent flowers, and my colleagues sent meal deliveries. My phone, though? Silent. No calls from Boston, until suddenly it wasn't. A week after surgery, my phone exploded. 17 missed calls from Dad, 22 from Mom, 26 from Vanessa. A text from my father. We need you. Answer immediately. Then another, your grandfather's in the hospital. Stroke. He's asking for you, Grandpa Howard, the one person who always saw me, who sent birthday cards, called just to talk, taught me to fish at his lake house. He was dying, and they only reached out because he asked for me. I called Jennifer. She sat with me as I dialed my dad. Where have you been? He demanded. No hello, no concern. I've been in the hospital, I said. Brain tumor. Surgery 4 days ago. Silence. Then, why didn't you tell us? I laughed bitter. The hospital called you. You went to Six Flags. Another pause. We didn't think it was serious. I laid it out. Waking up alone, facing a tumor alone, surgery alone. He apologized, at first, but it felt empty. I didn't want to talk to Mom or Vanessa. I just wanted Grandpa. The video call came later. Grandpa's face, pale but brightening when he saw me. Katie girl, he said, slurring but warm. He saw my bandages, knew about the tumor. My brave girl. He told me that he was leaving me his lake house, my childhood sanctuary. Then stop running. Talk to them. Make them hear you. He was right. I'd been running, avoiding the fight for my place in the family. When my parents and Vanessa appeared, I didn't hold back. I faced brain surgery alone because you couldn't be bothered to call, I said. You made me invisible my whole life. Vanessa tried to deflect. Mom cried. Dad paced, but Grandpa shut them down. You failed Kay, he said, for years. I laid it all bare. The comparisons, the neglect, the Six Flags post. I need to be seen for me, I told them. Mo as Vanessa's shadow. They promised to try, but I wasn't holding my breath. 6 months later, I'm standing on the dock of Grandpa's lake house. My lake house now. He passed 3 weeks after that talk, but I got to say goodbye thanks to a train trip with Olivia as my medical bodyguard. My family's trying, awkward calls, a few visits, but it's messy. Vanessa and I are civil, not close. The change is in me. I don't need their approval anymore. Olivia, Jennifer, my hospital support group, they're my family now, the ones who showed up when it mattered. As the sun sets over Crystal Lake, I hear my chosen family arriving. Laughter, car doors, the clink of wine bottles for our monthly gathering. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who sit by your hospital bed, who fight for you when you can't. If this resonates, comment your story below. Like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear this. You deserve people who show up. Thanks for listening. I'm Kay, and I'm finally free.